What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I was watching Financial Fitness, my buddy Chris Taylor's channel, yesterday, and he had me cracking up. He was essentially reading a Zero Hedge article, which is a great news source, by the way. I like a lot of Zero Hedge, a lot of what they put out. They break stories way before anyone else does, like lab leak theory. That was them. Did their Twitter get taken down? Oh yeah. Did Twitter ever apologize for that? I don't know, but I think they put him back up and they were like, oops, these guys are right. Nonetheless, he's reading this article on Biden and his domestic terrorism agenda. If you guys are living under a rock or something like that, we basically have a political elite class who has deemed half the country as potential domestic terrorists and have done things like banning Russian ammo imports and all sorts of stuff like that, because they kind of know the more they screw this up, the more likely a revolution is very possible. But we're hoping to avoid that. But it's probably not avoidable, because this is America. Every 80 years or so, Americans get really restless. And we have a very bad track record of bad things happening every 80 years or so, 80 to 90. So nonetheless, so he's reading this article on Zero Hedge, and one of the key metrics is the ability for a male to score with a female. That was going to go into a social credit score or whatever. I'll link to Chris's video. It was hilarious. Had me cracking up. But it made me think, this is why I didn't go into finance. I studied finance in undergrad. I thought, I really like that idea. Probably run my own venture capital firm or my own angel investing, I thought at the time, or I'll do something in that realm. So, studying finance will be a good idea. We get to the end of finance degree work stuff, and we took a class which was really interesting. We studied cases of corporate cases. I don't know, it was case studies, and one of them that sticks out to me is like Ben and Jerry's. These two hippie guys from Vermont basically had accumulated a certain amount of wealth and they wanted to put it into a nonprofit. And so, what do you do as a CFO? This is kind of like role plays, and you would read 25 pages of case study, get all the numbers, and then use what you had applied, or apply what you had learned over the last 3 or 4 years in school to make decisions. And then you would present your idea to the class, and then all the different professors would actually come in there. It was one time a week, so all the professors would come in there when they had time off, and they would just come in there and just drill you and be like, oh, there's Trav, I had him in my class 2 years ago or a year ago, let's freaking drill him with some questions, see how well he knows the case. It was a really great class, and they would make you study, like, everyone would pick a different case, and you would have to be ready on any one. So they would pull one out of the hat, and you would have to just have your PowerPoints, your spreadsheets, your numbers, like you would need to know them, and we'd crush. Nailed that class. But when we left that class, we all had not interviews, but opportunities to meet people in the finance world. My buddy Justin went out. Different Justin. You guys have heard about my other one. This is different. This is finance school Justin. He and I went to high school together. We ended up, at the end of it was kind of wild, because we went to high school together, and then we also graduated, like, final semester of finance together too. So it was almost like that one person never, like, left. It was just always there for like 8 years. And he goes to interview with a guy from Morgan Stanley or one of these larger firms, and the guy goes, he gives him about like 30 to 60 seconds of his time, and he goes, listen, can you walk into a bar and get laid? My buddy's like, not really knowing what to say. And I'm like, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. He didn't know what to say. And he's like, listen, kid, because if you can't, then you can't make it in this game. This game is sales, period, sales. And if you can't sell yourself, you can't sell from me. Don't waste my time. And that was it. And he gave him his card, and he's like, if you decide that you know how to sell, call me. And it just made me think, this is why I didn't go into finance. This is why I've waited patiently for this fiat financial system to literally just die off, because I've been like, it's such a gooey industry where literally it's all about selling old people and their retirement portfolios and getting their money, and then making a return, not for them, but for you. For grabbing 1% of the portfolio every year, win or loss. It's all about the book of business. It's all about selling people. And this is why the guy from Morgan Stanley was like, hey, if you can't walk into a bar and get laid, you can't work for me. And it was because it wasn't about actually doing good work. It was about sales. It was about getting people to dump money into a portfolio so that you could manage that portfolio and take 1% of it out. Now, all of my buddies from finance school essentially are in the game now, and I'm just a troll that's just like, have you heard of crypto? Have you guys know about silver and gold? You know, and they're all like, Trav, no, that's not. And here's why. Because when you buy silver or gold, and I can help you, if you're purchasing more than $1,500, send me an email. I'll list my email below. If you want to buy more than $1,500 precious metals, I just got approved. I'll have a video on this, but I just got approved as a licensed metal dealer. So I'm like, yeah, y'all. Not as good as my buddies doing finance because they get 1% a year. I make a small commission on the sale, and that's it. It's done. Over. But I believe in it. And I genuinely believe long term, like 10 years out, I'll probably grab all their clients. I don't know how at this point in time because I'm very happy doing what I'm doing. But I've always thought through, like, I want to put capital to work, but I don't want to do so through mutual funds and index. Like, I don't want to do so through the BS financial system. I'll wait for it to die. And everybody's essentially been like, Travis, not going to die. It's not, you know, and I'm like, oh no, it's going to. This is gonna, like, the Great Depression is gonna look like a joke. And I have all these videos at this point in time, like when we get there, where I'm like, see, I told you, it's gonna happen in the 2020s, where you're just gonna see, like, it's not gonna function. I mean, who knows? But we know, we'll have other videos on that. But nonetheless, what made me disgusted by finance was that it was literally just about sales. It wasn't about actually doing the work and finding good speculations and good cash flow opportunities. And it wasn't about that. It was about bringing in a book of business and putting them in your 6 or 12 investments that corporate approves, index funds, and just grabbing part of that index fund out every year, grabbing your 1% commish and, like, calling it good. And then the game is all about, you know, do you have 10 million under management? Do you have 100 million under management? You want to do well in life, you know, get $1 billion under management. Now you're making about, you know, for your team, you're making about 10 grand or 10 million a year on a 1% fee. Which, and if you compound that 1% fee, you end up screwing your clients. And so I'll have more videos on this long term as to where I think this is going. And that's what I love about the crypto space, is that people manage their own investments. They hold their own investments. It's not like the brokerage is holding your stock equities and you don't really have possessions of it. You need to, you need them to hold and manage it for you. I just don't believe in that. And the precious metals, I don't think there's anything more asymmetric at this point in time than physical silver. It's probably my favorite. It's so undervalued. I mean, I'll wrap with this. In the Roman days, 1/10 of an ounce of silver, so a tenth of an ounce, a dime, if you will, was a day's labor for skilled labor, for, like, people that were masons and, like, knew what they were doing, skilled engineers. So today we have an opportunity to literally get silver, physical silver, about $30 in our hand, and $3 of that is a day's labor. But if silver reaches its full price, you would expect it to be about $150, $200 in value for a tenth. And I know that sounds crazy. I absolutely know, like, oh, that sounds nuts. But it's just, that's when you return back to a hard money standard, and we will in my lifetime. I genuinely believe that. And also have, hopefully by then, a decade of videos going like I told you, and all my financial buddies will be like, well, we stole all their money, and what did you do with it, you fucks? Sorry, but what did you do with it? Oh, you bought equities too and it evaporated out of thin air? Yeah, that's why I'm going to take your clients. Because none of you, I mean, I talk to these kids at we have, like, reunion events and, like, networking events. I talk to these kids all the time. And I'm like, dudes, are you putting 10, 20% of your people's portfolio in hard physical metals? Because there's vehicles to do that. And they're like, no, why would we do that? And I'm like, okay, well, this is not going to go well. It's going to suck when I'm right. It's going to suck hard when I'm right. And, but I won't let you forget it.